Hi, welcome to Universe View Odyssey channel. Thales, the first scientist, the beginning of Universo View, Cosmology, Odyssey. Thales, 640-546 B.C., is considered the first scientist. A native of Miletus in the Aegean Sea, he traveled to Egypt where he discovered how to measure the height of pyramids and predicted solar eclipses. He is also said to have had knowledge of astronomy and weather, including the constellations necessary for navigation. Looking at Plato's writings, we can get an idea of how extraordinary a person Thales was. Plato wrote the following in his epistemological work, Theaitetos. There is a quip that a clever and witty Thracian maid is said to have said to Thales when he fell into a well while gazing at the stars in the sky. She said that Thales was so eager to see what was floating in the sky that she could not see what was at her feet. Aristotle's open hollow corner bracket Politics close hollow corner bracket contains the following information. Thales was much criticized for his poverty. Because poverty proved the futility of philosophy. One year, Thales used his knowledge of meteorology to ensure that there would be a good olive harvest the following year. He reserved a large number of licenses to use olive oil presses in Miletus and Chios. As summer arrived, a sudden and simultaneous demand arose. Thales released all of its pre-ordered milking machines at a high price. By amassing a fortune, he proved that philosophers could make a lot of money if they wanted to, but they just don't want to. The above anecdote resonates even in this era when students flock to practical studies that make money and ignore humanities and natural sciences that are not immediately profitable. I think back then, as now, it was a world where it was difficult to make a living for people who studied pure studies like philosophy or mathematics. The reason Thales is called the first philosopher is because he opened a new area of thought. He was exploring the nature of things. In other words, he thought deeply about what all things are made of or what the basic elements that make up things are. Thus, he comes up with the answer that, the one, or material that makes up all substances is water. Thales shifted the basis of thought from mythological foundations to scientific inquiry. Why did Thales conclude that the element of matter is water? This question can be inferred from the fact that in his youth he traveled to Egypt and Babylonia, which were academically advanced countries at the time. Coincidentally, in the creation myths of Egypt and Babylonia, it is said that all things were created from water. Both civilizations arose and prospered against the backdrop of a river. There is a saying that Egyptian civilization is a gift from the Nile River. Therefore, it is no wonder that the Nile River, water, was considered the source of all substances to the Egyptians. Mesopotamian and Babylonian civilizations also flourished in the Fertile Crescent, formed by the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. Receiving the blessings of the river, water, was no different from Egypt. The great flood that made the land fertile was both a great gift from heaven and a disaster. So people would have had to prepare for river flooding. It would have been necessary to predict the timing of the flood, survey the land after the flood, and also require civil engineering work for flood control. That is why mathematics and civil engineering technology developed early in Egypt. It is well known that the word geometry means measuring the ground. Before Thales visited, it is said that not only the myth that water is the source of all things, but also mathematics, civil engineering, and astronomical observation technology were significantly developed here. It is also said that in Egypt, cubic tables were created and used to solve cubic equations, and the Pythagorean theorem was already known and applied. Moreover, it is said that the fields of mathematics and astronomy were more advanced in Babylonia than in Egypt. Greek intellectuals learned and accepted these advanced studies. Pythagoras, who was about 50 years younger than Thales, is also said to have learned mathematics while traveling in Egypt and Babylonia. The origins of Greek philosophy, science, were Egypt and Babylonia. So why did mathematics and science relatively decline in Egypt and Babylonia and develop in Greece? The following words from philosopher Immanuel Kant suggest an answer to this question. The Greeks identified the essence of things. In other words, they worked hard to recognize the world as a rational unity by understanding the reality of materials and revealing the meaning of numbers. In short, the Greeks pursued a unified knowledge system. It goes without saying that this was the fundamental driving force behind the development of philosophy and mathematics. Egypt and Babylonia, the pre-Greek civilized countries, had highly developed mathematical systems that went beyond simple arithmetic calculations, including complex accounting calculations and building structural calculations. They viewed mathematics as a means of solving practical problems. In Egypt and Babylonia, geometric laws were discovered while solving specific real-world problems such as land surveying and civil engineering, and were passed down as valuable prescriptions. However, mathematics developed this early and did not develop further. Why did they do that? These prescriptions, passed down through generations, always gave the right answers, so no one would question the logical validity of the equations they used. All that mattered to them was that the calculations made according to the prescription actually matched the situation, and there was no need to question why they gave the correct results. In comparison, the Greek people were inclined to play in the world of ideas and the surreal. Of course, all daily tasks were left to the slaves. The fact that Plato's idea, philosophy came to dominate Greek philosophy and even European thought can be seen as a reflection of the ideological constitution of Greeks and Europeans as much as Plato's genius. The Greeks had a special regard for mathematics, geometry. In other words, it was thought that reason could be refined through mathematical methods. Mathematics is not just for technical problems, but it seems to be a basic skill for accessing all studies. It is said that in Greece at the time, it was common sense that those who do not know mathematics cannot do philosophy, and God thinks mathematically, geometry. It is said that mathematics was the logos itself, their rational thinking. Therefore, in Greece, the art of calculation was called logistos, logistike, distinguishing it from higher mathematics such as geometry. Excessive metaphysical attitudes toward mathematics have also become an obstacle to the development of science that requires experiments and quantitative analysis. However, considering the nature of science and mathematics, it is not at all strange that modern science was born and the scientific revolution took place in the West, which has a spirit of inquiry into the nature of things and an emphasis on mathematics. This is because natural phenomena and mathematical laws are mysteriously and inseparable. The attempt to explain natural phenomena mathematically is what led to the birth and development of natural science, especially physics. Thanks for watching.